I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Renovator. I'm your host, Coach Phil. Today, we're going to be talking about putting yourself first. It's kind of like the trip I just came back from. The safety trip announcement on an airplane, put your mask on first. Well, we're going to kind of have that kind of conversation today. But before we do that, thanks for being here today. Or if you're watching on the replay, #replay, let us know where you're watching in from. And if you would be so kind to let us know if there's a thought or an idea or an improvement that you would like to share with us, that would be well appreciated as well. Share it out on our YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Business Renovator. That would be appreciated as well. So it's just like TV here. I have a commercial. So here comes a shameless plug about what I do. So hang on for a minute. Here we go. As soon as I find it. It's true. It's free. No credit card required. So you're a business owner, entrepreneur, want to be, and you want to check out where you are in terms of your business growth score. It's real easy. Go to coachphil.ca as you see in the screen, and that'll launch you into my homepage. And on the top right-hand corner, as you look at it, it's another link, and click on that. And if you would like to explore what the answers are to your questions, that's where you would do it. It'll prompt you. You put in your answers. And then if you would like to have a complimentary 30-minute coaching session, we can connect you with myself. And if I don't have the answer to the question that you pondering or questions, then I have a group of other wonderful individuals from around the globe that'd be happy to do the same sort of thing for you. Again, no strings attached. What else? Oh, we have a guest today, and we're going to talk about, what did I say we're going to talk about? Put yourself first. So this is something directly from my guest. She said the societal narrative we have heard as women for far too long is holding us back, yet we push through no matter how we feel. Pursuing our goals and dreams is so much more fun when we have the energy to enjoy them. She is challenged the narrative of life after 50 and decided to live the life she wanted. Medical doctors told her for years there was nothing wrong. Her nutrition education finally gave her answers and insights and taught her how to heal her body and whole food ingredients with whole food ingredients and herbal medicine. She's also incorporated lifestyle changes. Health and well-being have also been major components. And one thing she can assure you and I is that it's not about feeling deprived or having long hours of exercise. I like that part. Are you ready to put yourself first and start living your best life? Well, let's welcome Connie Pretula. Here she comes. There you are. Here we are. Hey, thanks for being here.
No problem. My pleasure, Phil. Thank you.
That's my pleasure to be here. We have somebody that popped in. I think he's still looking. He's a friend of mine. He just did a show this morning. He's an interesting dude. Alan, he's from Montana. Alan, thank you for being here. Good morning to you, my friend. So how the heck did we connect? We got introduced by?
Bob.
I know.
Yeah.
And I hadn't met him until a few months ago. So it's amazing the power of connections, right?
It is. It is. Yeah. And I met Bob, maybe back in about September or October. So I haven't known him all that long either, but he's I'm a former Winnipegger and found out he's a former Winnipegger. So I guess just, that energy brought us together.
Shut the front door. That reminds me of that crazy commercial. I don't think it was WestJet, it was the other guys.
I
And
can't remember who.
remember that?
I do.
I'm going to Hawaii. And the guys up beside him go, Hawaii, this plane's going to Winnipeg. And he says, oh, I guess I'm going to
Going to Winnipeg. Yeah.
Actually, I was out there just a little bit ago, last summer, August. A buddy of mine and his wife live out there. They moved from rural Manitoba, not Alberta, to Headingley, which is like right on the fringe of Winnipeg. It's really
Yeah.
quite nice out there. They have deer for dinner. Not to eat them. They show up at the house.
Yes. I actually used to live just past Headingley, and same thing. Wake up in the morning, there was often deer lying in the yard. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. I had a family there. The man, though the buck wasn't there, the women were all hanging out, which is kind of great segue as to why you're here, because you're here for women's health for the most part, right? And well-being.
Yeah, for the most part, I do get the odd man that comes to me, finds out about me and asks me if I can help them. So I do work with men on the odd occasion, most of them being older. I don't know. I seem to attract the over 50 crowd.
Right. Those probably the ones that need your help the most.
Yeah.
So how did you get into what you're doing?
That's actually a bit of a funny story.
I like funny.
And people go, really? This actually all started because I wanted to do a boudoir shoot for my 50th birthday.
Oh,
And that was inspired by a Sex and the City episode where Samantha decided to do a boudoir shoot. I can't remember what birthday it was for, but anyway. So I decided I wanted to do a boudoir shoot, and I wanted to get into great shape. I also wanted to do a bodybuilding competition. And a friend of mine had done it. Now she was quite a bit younger when she did it, but I was amazed at how her body transformed. It I don't know. It was so hard to describe just watching the changes in her body. So I decided at age 50 that I was going to do a bodybuilding competition and do the boudoir shoot. So while I was doing the bodybuilding prep, which took me 8 months before I actually did the competition, I realized I had a passion for nutrition. And at the time I was working in the technology industry. I was working in financial services technology. And I just said, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to do nutrition. So after the competition was done, 2 days later, I had my boudoir shoot. And, everybody makes plans, right? When you're going to make a transition, you're going to save money, you're going to get everything in order so that, this is all really easy. And I was sitting at my desk one day, actually, funny enough, I live here in Vancouver, but I was working on a project in Winnipeg, which used to be my old hometown. And I was sitting at the desk and I was miserable. My body was sick. I was in pain. I hated what I was doing. I wasn't doing a good job for my company. I wasn't doing a good job for the client. And I sent a message to my boss and I said, I want to see you Monday morning. And I walked in Monday morning and I resigned, and the rest is history. Foray into going back to school to become a nutritionist.
Wow. I just made some notes here, and it says you set goals, you have an idea, you create a plan. And if you honor what you're saying to yourself and what you really believe, it's not a straight line from A to Z, or for our American buddies, A to Z. It's oh, how did I get here? I went through all of that to get here. That's what I just heard you describe to us.
Yeah. And the funny thing is so the last technology company I worked for, they're the ones that moved me from Winnipeg to Vancouver because I had to be in Vancouver to do the job. And it was so funny. When I moved from Winnipeg, I'd already started this new lifestyle of eating differently, exercising, that type of stuff. And when I moved to Vancouver, I'm like, oh, I found my people. There's more people like me here. So it was kind of inevitable, I think, that that I would eventually go down this path, because I thought I loved technology, and I thought I'll eventually become an independent consultant. I'll, work on my own terms. But there was something missing. And when I found nutrition, it's like I found it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, life is a journey, right?
It is. Oh yeah.
It's not a destination. There are destinations along the way, but it's
Yes.
not a destination.
No. Yeah.
Wow. So what's the best thing that's besides your better health? We have an echo. I don't know how to get rid of it. Isn't that interesting? Hang on. Did I fix it? No. So we just have to grin and bear it. So what's been, other than your better health, what else has come out of it for you?
Oh, gosh, yeah, better health, better life. I was one of those women, people, whatever you want to say. Um, I had goals. I wanted to achieve certain things when I was working in the corporate world, and I started working in the corporate world 2 weeks after high school, which
Mm.
I didn't think that I would ever work in the corporate world that long. But again, life has its own path that it takes you on. So at some point, I can't remember how old I was, but at some point I realized that I had to focus on a corporate career, that I wasn't going to be one of those women that would have a family, stay home, maybe work part-time, that kind of stuff, or have a family and work full-time. So I was driven. I was a driven person, absolutely. And up early in the morning, work late, get it done, do what needs to be done. It was all about the client. And it still, for me, is all about the client, but now it's more on my terms. It's not on a company's terms of the drive. This is about me giving good quality time to my clients. And that's improved my quality of life, because when you're a coach, or whatever you want to call it, an advisor, consultant, at the end of the day, what you're advising your clients to do, you kind of should be living what what you're preaching. So when I'm telling my clients to put themselves first, I better be doing the same things. Otherwise, that imposter syndrome comes in, right? How can I tell people this and I'm not even living it? So I'm pretty honest about the life that I live.
I like that. It's like you're speaking to me, because there's days where I struggle to live what I ask people to do, and so thanks for the reminder. I appreciate that. I'm every day in every way I'm getting better and better, but there are some days where I have that inner critic that tells me it's okay. I don't have to show up, so it kind of pulls me back a little bit, but not too long, and not very often. Now we've talked about you, and we're talking about looking after yourself first. What about your clients' experiences? What would you share? What people have said about what you've been able to help them with because of your life's journey?
Yeah. Wow. Probably the ultimate situation with a client, and sometimes I have really no idea how deep uh, the pain is, whether it be physical or emotional, that somebody's dealing with, or the challenge that they're dealing with
Mhm.
health wise. I get to know that over time, but people don't call me up and say, yeah, I'm really struggling with life and I feel like dying, and can you help me with that? um Sometimes that is there underlying, but you don't hear that. And I did have a client that I worked with for some time. She was having a number of challenges, health wise and especially digestive wise. And she said to me one day, she said, because of you, I'm still here. I didn't give up. And gosh, like kind of right in the heart. Is like, wow. But yet, take it further. Um, it's kind of funny because people people can joke about how women react, and men like to joke about it. Other women, we tease about it. um, Women are really affected by our hormones, and that is a reality. And I had one client say to me, I literally, prior to my period, have to lock myself up because I am an awful human being. Like,
Wow.
I'm almost psycho. And so her and I started to work together, and through the process that I have, after about 3 or 4 months, she contacted me and she said, I'm actually a nice person now prior to my period. I can tolerate people, and I'm not mean to people. And sometimes people think that, as women, oh well, if she's PMSing or she's, got her period and that's just the way she is. It Sometimes we can't control it. We don't know what's going on. And yet I've figured out ways to help women. Do I know all the answers immediately? No. Sometimes it does take me 3, 4, sometimes 6 months to get people balanced out. But when somebody tells me that they can, participate in society again
Mm.
prior to having their period, and there's a lot of women that struggle with that, and they struggle with that silently. And, they're expected to show up at work and perform. How do you do that? And especially, I worked in male dominated industries, and I used to have a lot of problems prior to my period and with my period. And call up your male boss and say, hi, yeah, I've got really bad cramps and I feel like throwing up and just lying on the floor and I don't know what to do. Your boss doesn't really want to hear that. So thankfully, these things are starting to be talked about more so, but women don't have to experience that, but they don't know where to turn. So everything I experienced, that's my journey. That's what I learned going through school, applying everything I learned to myself. And thankfully, I'm able to give those solutions to other women.
So without going into the minutia of what the solutions are, at a kind of a maybe not a 35,000-foot view, but 15,000 foot, what are some of the things that you've leveraged that you found out from your experience and introduced to your clients to help them in those times of the month?
Yeah, one of and it's so funny, and I think as I said in one of my posts as I was promoting our session today, is I hope Phil's ready for my answers because I'm pretty open, no filter in some ways. But one of the things that I learned in school, and what was interesting is most of my instructors were younger. In fact, I think all of my instructors were younger than me when I was going to school. And I would ask them, how does this apply in menopause? And most of them would say, I
Uh-huh.
don't. So, that's where I started to figure some of these things out. But
Okay.
one of the things that I learned was a process called seed cycling. And I have searched to find its origin, and I cannot find the absolute origin of who created the seed cycling. Some attribute it to Dr. Christiane Northrup, who is an incredible, she's an OBGYN in the US, but she's an incredible doctor, incredible amount of wisdom. Some say that she was the first one to actually talk about it. But it's a combination of seeds during the different parts of your cycle in the month. And these seeds can help balance your hormones. And it sounds so simple, yet it can have such a big impact. Now, sometimes it doesn't work for everybody right off. Sometimes I have to do additional supplementation to support their body. But for most women, within 2 to 3 months, they're seeing changes. And here's my challenge. Every woman is so unique and her hormone makeup is so unique that a woman will say, well, what benefit is it going to give me? And unfortunately, I have to say, I'm not sure. We'll find out. And that's so tough for me to say, but it's the reality. So for some women, they stop having really bad PMS symptoms prior to their period. For some women, it reduces their migraine headaches. For some women, it reduces their severe cramping. So, it that's that's actually the beauty of the human body, right? We're all so unique, and that's kind of what I pride myself on when I'm working with women, is understanding their uniqueness and getting to the root cause of what's going on.
So it's not a one size fits all kind of solution.
No,
You're digging deep, literally, into
yeah,
what their makeup is all about. And I would, I certainly don't know. I'm clueless. I'm not clueless, but I'm not a woman, so obviously I don't experience what you're experiencing firsthand. Third hand, I've had those other experiences you're talking about.
yeah.
Uh, where was I going with that crazy thought? I'm thinking that thinking has somewhat to do with it as well, in addition to the things you're adding to it, that the thought processes we have play a role, don't they?
Absolutely, and actually, it's kind of interesting when you talk about the thought processes, because when it comes to menopause, the thought process is what we've heard as women: it's awful, we're going to age, we get old, we're not sexy, we can't have sex anymore, this is just the way it is, grin and bear it. If your mother or grandmother or you know older females in your life have ever talked about it, it's like, it's awful, but you'll get through it. And so I think sometimes that thought process kind of determines how we're going to feel about it.
Mm.
And I remember when menopause started for me, and it just like hit me. I had just started with my last technology company, and boom, about 2 days later, my body decides, oh, okay, let's go into menopause. Let's make this really fun for her to start a new job and put menopause on the plate as well. And at first I didn't know what was happening to me, and then I kind of, oh, I'm 48. This might be happening. I contacted my mom, and her response was, oh, honey. And I said, so what could I experience? And she says, well, I went through it for 10 years. And I'm like, oh my God, like, seriously? And what I learned in school and what I've done with women, it doesn't have to be that way. And sometimes I get dirty looks when I say, I love being in menopause. It's the best thing ever. And I'll get these really awful looks, because it's like, how can you say that? My life has changed so much. But it honestly, it really can be amazing. But can I change that overnight? No.
Yeah, like every one of your clients kind of a different situation, right?
Yeah.
Our DNA is different.
Absolutely. Yes. Our DNA, yeah. Everything. Our lifestyles are all different.
Yeah,
The way we chew our food is different. Some
the
people chew
food you eat is
slower.
different.
Exactly. Yeah. So everybody's unique.
Okay, I lied. I told you I turned my email off so you wouldn't hear any chimes. We just had a notification. Apparently, I have a meeting coming up. Technology, right? Just I thought it was turned off. Probably nobody would have noticed that until I said it. So that was my fault.
Yeah.
A bunch of years ago, I ran into a woman, not literally, but in a networking event, and she was going through menopause, and she was a fan of energy, and she was in a company that had a lot to do with water. That they used a machine that created a vortex, and it changed the dynamics of the water,
Right.
and magnets. And if I hadn't have met her and didn't have a border collie who had a ruptured anal glands, and I went to the vet and did the traditional thing, and after 2 weeks, it wasn't healed. And when this woman that I met who had gone through menopause and used this same stuff for her, she said menopause for her was a breeze. I'm not saying it's a breeze for everybody doing what
Yeah.
she's prescribed, but what got me excited about the potential helping my dog was she had pictures of a horse that put its back end into a fence post, and it ripped it up, and they used traditional veterinarian medicine. It was taking forever, so she did three things: the water, far red, material and magnets on the horse, and it healed it so much faster. I thought, will this work on my dog's anal glands? It did. I taped magnets to her tail, washed it out with water, and it was healed in a short period of time.
Wow.
So I kind of, even though I'm not a woman, and I'll never experience what you're talking about firsthand, I'm open to the idea of possibilities in different ways of solving problems for a variety of things, including health. Because one of the things the show is, this show, the Business Renovator, has 3 pillars, and they're basically sales, marketing, and mental fitness. But the mental fitness isn't just about sales and marketing. I'm in the business. My quest personally is to stop underliving and grow into my potential. And some people say, well, that's pretty negative. And I says, no, it's not. And it's never ending, because as I get to another level, I got something else that I'm not comfortable with, and I get to learn. So having people like you on the show, Connie, helps me stay true to my quest. And we get to share some insights that maybe, today or tomorrow or 2 years from now, somebody's going to catch this episode and go, oh my God, I'm in that stage of my life, or my wife is, or somebody I care about is. I'm going to introduce them to Connie. So
Yeah.
you and I together are helping plant seeds for people to have ways to find help for a challenge they might have.
Yeah. It's actually interesting, Phil, as a man, you say you can't really understand what a woman's going through. And I actually did a survey recently with men. I did it on LinkedIn. Thank you to all the men that have connected with me and didn't disconnect from me. But I surveyed them and asked them whether they would be interested in learning what a woman experiences in menopause. And 89% of the men said yes. Now, what's interesting is when I've asked women, do you think men care about what we experience in menopause? And the women said no. And I said, hold on a second. I said, do you think a man at the best of times knows what to say to us when we say, do I look good in this dress?
Yes, it's suicide.
Exactly, because if you say yes, the woman goes, oh, come on, are you really telling me the truth? Or the other part is, if you say no, well, what's wrong with it? So I said to women, like, seriously, we have made it somewhat of a landmine for men to ask a question or comment, especially when it comes to our period or, menopause. I mean, that does last a longer period of time. It's not just a few weeks. So I'm going to be creating a knowledge base for men so that they can learn about what a woman experiences in menopause. And I think it's really cool that men do want to learn this, but they want an avenue that they can learn. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go to their wife and say, hey,
Honey, I understand this.
Wait, at least you understand, right?
Yeah.
And here's the hard part about menopause. Women don't even understand what they're going to experience or what they are experiencing, because sometimes they'll go to their medical doctor and that's what I was told. You're entering that time.
Write it out.
Yeah, that's exactly. This is just the way it is. And of course, I'm not one to accept this is just the way it is. It's like, really? So.
Cool. I'm going to share some stuff here right now, because time just flies. We're having fun.
Yeah.
And here it comes. Here it comes. Watch this. There. I went to your LinkedIn place first. So let me go find the LinkedIn, because you can't read that, guys and gals, but I can help you with that. Watch this. We have the technology. We're on LinkedIn. So there we go. So if you wanted to find Connie and be one of the guys that wants to learn more about menopause and what its impact is and how you can understand it better and connect with your women partner, that's the place to go. There's another place too, though. You also have a website, which, if you bear with me, I will go there and do my dance with this. And there you are. It's really an easy one. It's her name. Isn't that easy? Is there anything you want me to point to on your site here? to put focus on?
Well, I guess my manifesto kind of tells you, how I went on to this journey, what led me to this journey. And I can honestly say I'll be 62 this August. And I can honestly say that I feel better in my 60s, way better in my 60s than I did in my late 40s and early 50s, probably into about my mid 50s. So my manifesto shares a little bit of that. I do some blogs. I haven't posted one recently on my website. Of course, you can see that cheeky photo there of Yoko and John Lennon. And that one's an interesting one because it's quite the meme is quite negative, and a friend of mine had posted it on their page, and I thought, why do we demean the shape of a woman's rear end? does that determine her beauty and her value? If she doesn't have this perfectly round, perky rear end.
I don't think there's a perfectly round one out there. You know what I think screws it up? Maybe we should all be naked,
Yeah.
and then that will go away, because I think bathing suits accentuate things in not a healthy, positive way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? I agree. We should all go naked, because then you're not judging somebody by their clothes or their whatever.
Exactly. It's a naked truth.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, but then the other tab that I have, Be a Vivacious Woman, that talks. And here's one of my big challenges is kind of as I shared about the seed cycling, what will it do for me? It's the same when I'm working with a woman longer term. I typically like to work with a woman at least for 3 months, because it does take time to find out what's going on with her body and how her body's reacting to the changes we're making. But it's hard. Again, it's hard for me to describe exactly what we're going to get out of it, because you never know how the body is going to work. But the one thing that I will tell you is I will use every amount of energy that I have to get to the root cause. I do a lot of research on something that a woman might be facing, and I'm available. I'm just available to talk. And I find women, that's a big thing of what they miss. They just want somebody to listen, because they've been listening to everybody else, either their clients, their boss, their children, their husband, and they've been putting everybody first except for themselves. So I put them first.
I was going to ask you what the nugget is, but I think it's right there. Without even asking you, you landed it. Boom. First. That's the nugget. That's the sage wisdom that you're going to share. I'm not going to ask you the question I told you I was going to ask you, because you already answered it.
Well, I guess you implanted it, so it just came out.
There you go. That was enlightening, entertaining, and made me laugh a lot. So I appreciate that, and gave me some more empathy for the female partners of life. So I thank you for being here today, and wish you all the best for 2023.
Thank you, Phil. I thank you for having me as a guest. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. See you in a bit. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of another episode of the Business Renovator. But before we go, if you were interested in something that I would talk about mental fitness, I have a way for you to figure out where your inner critic might be holding you back. If that's of interest to you, you can just go to phil@coachphil.ca, send me an email, and I'll send you the link to the landing page. It has a video and some educational pieces, and you can actually take an assessment. It's free also, to identify what the inner critics you have are, so they can identify them and diffuse them. You can't ever get rid of them, but you can manage them. So until next time, I'm still going to be Coach Phil, until the next time we get together. But the last thing I want to do before we say goodbye is one more thing. Is to remind you to be this wonderful. A mentor of mine from decades ago introduced this to me, and the you represents you and me. But you're unique, as I am. And as we heard from Connie, every woman is unique, and how she would help them, or you as a woman, is going to be a little bit different than each one. There's no magic formula, but there is a formula. You just need to reach out to Connie and find out. So the formula for you to continue to be wonderful is to think about the good things in life. Not to be Pollyannic, but stay in the, what are you looking forward to? What are you grateful for? So until next time, stay wonderful.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.